All right, welcome back, everybody, to the During Business Hours podcast. It is During Business Hours on Hump Day.
Hump Day.
Hump Day. Hump. What day is it, Gary? What day is it?
Yeah, those commercials.
Hump Day.
I freaking love that commercial with Camel.
It was the best when I was a kid. Not even a young teenager. Like the baby in E-Trade. Now is like banned, I guess. My wife sent me a commercial for obesity in America in the EU. They're like, basically how you're treated as a kid influences your young adult life, and then your parents treating you when you grow up, and then you treat your wife and your significant other like with food, and then eating fast food until you're like on a CPAP machine on your bed, and then you choke and die. And then they're like, or green beans instead of French fries when they're a baby. It's the only thing that makes them, calm. It was the most brutal commercial I've ever seen when it comes to kids.
So eating green beans when you're young is going to keep you off of CPAP when you're an adult, is what I got.
Yeah, because then it goes back in time and the mom gives him green beans and the baby still is crying. He's like, but it's for his own good, instead of giving him McDonald's French fries to like shut him up. Mm-hmm. My son is 3 and I give him McDonald's French fries to shut him up. So yeah, that's why he likes chicken nugget French fries. I'm like, okay, could somebody get this kid a fucking Happy Meal? That's me. I'm that. When my son is screaming, that's me. 3 a.m. and he wants chocolate milk. Do we have syrup?
Have you
sometimes.
Your son can be a little bit much sometimes?
All the time.
All the time?
Yeah. He's just in his terrible 3s.
So terrible, how long is that going to last?
It lasted since he was born.
So just...
He's almost 4. Don't worry, he'll grow out of it. I hope.
Sounds like it. But have you heard that debate? I mean, you got me thinking about it when you said syrup for chocolate milk versus powder for chocolate milk.
No, I have not heard the debate. What's the debate?
No, just preference. Just preference-wise.
So there's a debate that one is better than the other?
I mean, it's...
I bet there's a whole subreddit on this question, isn't there?
Probably. When is there not a subreddit about something?
Angelina Jolie.
There's not a subreddit about her?
No, there's one that just talks about how glorious she was back in the day and how hideous she is now. But Madam Web official trailer? What the hell is this?
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I watched part of it.
The movie, or?
Yeah.
It doesn't come out until February 2024.
Why do you care for me?
Prawn, yeah. No, this is so this is their fucking movie verse where it's
Get
like
your stuff.
Yeah.
Let's go.
So they're all like
You're
Spider-Man.
showing off.
is what
Maybe
I'm
a
getting
little.
at. But there's like
the cartoon where Spider-Man goes like into the multiverse, the Spider-Verse, the original, like he 616 or the comic book version where he went in. And I remember they did the Amazing Spider-Man where he went into those. And then he made Madam Web was the leader of it because she could handle time, the threads of time or whatever.
Well, there's a comic book series. I mean, it's in the Marvel comic book whatever universe, but where there's these like creatures that basically they're considered like Spider-Man totems, and in order for them to live, they have to like basically take their life force. And that's what that kind of reminded me of, that guy like killing those spider women. And that's what it's gotta be something with that, because that's what it kind of looked like.
Here we go. 5 votes and 30 comments. Bottle, seriously. Syrup, obviously. Powder works better in a shaker. Syrup settles on the bottom and you can't get it all mixed in. Also, I know, high fructose corn syrup. Fuck that shit. Powder is the only answer. Syrup tastes entirely too artificial. Chocolate milk syrup. Hot chocolate, powder all the way. Buy it ready-made. Can't give good rim job with powder, so why keep bothering it in the house? And then 6 more replies on that one. I'm going to read this. So using that logic, there isn't anything in your house that you couldn't give a rim job with. I like to give rim jobs, okay? Another reply. Then you could probably find a use for anything during, even chocolate powder. Powder, it mixes better. Powder, Nesquik or bust. Fresh from the brown cow. Syrup is the point where no more will mix in. Syrup that got dark just so you can achieve some chunky floating on the top ass powder. Pro tip, you ain't mixing it right. I will go with syrup. However, you ain't if you have a farm near you that can make you fresh chocolate milk, do it. You will not regret it. Syrup. Always homemade, and it's readily easy. Heat a cup of water and a cup of sugar into boiling, stirring, and dissolve. Add half a cup of powdered cocoa plus a dash of salt or a dash of vanilla, splash of vanilla, or a dash of cayenne or other chili powder. Stir, reduce heat, let it simmer for a minute. The longer you keep it heating, the thicker the consistency will do what you like. Store it in an airtight container and use it for the chocolate milk. As a topping for ice cream or as a substitute for your sugar in your coffee, shit's good. That sounds like that Mexican powder that they have where it's got like a heated chocolate, whatever. I bought some once with my ex-girlfriend, and boy, that was just not a delight. Either usually syrup, though it has more uses than just chocolate milk. No, it doesn't. You're not putting it on ice cream. Everyone wants fucking fudge. Don't lie to yourself.
You know, some people that grow up poor can't afford the fudge, so they just use the syrup.
Not to be a dick, I wouldn't know.
Well, I would.
God damn. I know that Hershey syrup is more common classic option, but here's always tasted off to me like a darker chocolate taste. I expect the majority have grown up with Hershey, but I'm interested in knowing your favorite brands and types of chocolate milk. Do you prefer man-made or to make it yourself? Syrup or powder? Bottle or carton? Or do you like chocolate milk or whatever form you can get? I grew up on powder. I always liked it more, even when they let it out of bottles. Nesquik, a scoop of strawberry, a scoop of chocolate was my move.
Dude, the cartons of chocolate milk, elementary school or growing up at the cafeteria.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
There's also a percentage of Americans that believe chocolate milk comes from brown cows.
Oh, yeah. I just now found out it didn't come from brown cows.
Really?
No, I'm kidding.
I was going to say, like...
Nesquik is good. Regular chocolate. Ovaltine is good. Ovaltine is over fucking rated. Everyone loves Ovaltine where I'm from, and it is overrated. You Ovaltine boys in the comments below, let me know how much of a fuckboy I am loving my Hershey's cocoa powder, because, you know, I'm too bougie with it to have had the syrup in my house because I had hot fudge and my parents loved me. You know, we even had that sparkle shatter chocolate that you'd pour over and it would turn your chocolate ice cream into a hard shell.
The turtle shell thing?
Yeah, turtle shell. Yeah.
Yeah.
Turtle shell.
That was good.
I miss and love when I can get a bag of rodeo at the rodeo grounds. Grew up with Ovaltine powder, still my favorite. Yes, Nesquik powder is my childhood, my favorite, and enjoyed Hershey syrup as well. I will say Nesquik syrup terrible. I like the Nesquik syrup, but I haven't had the powder in a long time. It used to be like the last time I had it, which when I was a child. My wife, for some reason, loves the syrup. She buys nothing but the syrup, so when my son wants it, he doesn't know that the powder is good, but I love the powder. So me and my daughter prefer the powder. She'll take the syrup when it's available, but I'm definitely a powder person. So I bought just like chocolate powder for mixing, baking, everything. And it comes in a can like this big for like $4. It's the same thing that's in Nesquik or Hershey's. It's the exact same taste. Some have a little more salt, some have a little less. Trick. Put salt in it.
A dash of cayenne.
Fuck the cayenne. I'm not going the loco route. I can't believe this is like a big thing here. This is chocolate powder versus Nestle syrup for making chocolate milk. 30 comments. Here we go. Let's see if there's any more rim job comments.
God, I don't know why people use chocolate syrup for chocolate milk. It is kind of a bizarre concept to me, so my vote is for le chocolate powder.
Le chocolate powder.
Le chocolate powder. I used to prefer powder, but I realized syrup keeps the milk colder because it's kept in the fridge. The powder makes the milk ever so slightly more room temperature.
Bitch.
I mean, when it's cold, it's harder to mix.
Yes, it's got to be warm anyway.
Yeah.
It's hot chocolate or chocolate, and then you let it cool down.
Or go to Brahms, get some of their chocolate milk. Nestle uses child labor to make their chocolate and other products. Go for syrup, but not Nestle.
It tastes so much better with the tears of children. I can attest, not because of the labor, but my own kids.
That's where you get the salt from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So much better. My son literally cries for chocolate milk every day because we don't give him milk at bedtime anymore. We broke his ass of that. That was a nightmare. Ungodly amount of time to get that kid out of my bed and off the nipple, basically. He's almost 4. I spanked my child the other night because he didn't want to play the board games that we were playing. I bought Sorry, Trouble, Uno. I had Uno, but we basically got my 7-year-old addicted to board games, which is great. I want her to have more interaction with us that is like, hey, let's play a game, let's interact, let's talk and hang out. And she's more conversational when she's playing the games, which is great, talking about her day and her friends. It's like she's a grown-ass woman. Weird. But on cell phones, she's just, yeah, oh, didn't hear you. 30 minutes goes by and you're like, yeah, go. The other thing was, so my son tried to play Trouble, or Sorry. And so he kept moving everyone else's pieces because he's 3, doesn't know what color he is. He drew some cards and he played well the beginning, but he got fed up and then left. And so then he just started screaming no because somebody had moved his pieces off the table. Well, Khaleesi had moved his pieces. She's a bit bratty that way. She'll move things and like just to mess with him. But it doesn't deserve, give him the right to like swing at her, because it's moved. And then to tell me, no, he's going to beat up Sissy or whatever it was at the time. And I was like, no, just sit down, calm down, take a deep breath, and he's just screaming at me. I'm like, dude, it was going to be a hand smack. Now, bent him over, gave him a good butt smack. He needed it because he's so used to telling us no in like happenstance. But he's like, no, I don't want to, But now it's like, you're our child labor. You must do what we say. I say go that way, you go that way. You end up going this way, go that way.
Right.
I'm not more of a beater, but I feel like he needs some discipline.
Right. Yeah. Have you guys gotten any board games from the comic book store?
No.
No.
You
Find anything?
should point some out for me for a 7-year-old child, since you're there more often. I had Exploding Kittens and then Cards Against Humanity, but I don't think that's good for a 7-year-old. Also, Exploding Kittens is turned into a Netflix show. Did you see that? You ever play Exploding Kittens?
Yeah.
Dude.
Why don't you try playing some D&D with your kids?
No. I don't want the rabbit hole alone that got me in when I was like 22. Like I spent thousands of dollars, time, effort, basically got evicted from a house because of D&D.
Against so many... God.
How can many British people sleep at night not knowing that so many women don't have a TV license? Maybe because women are less likely to tell the TV licensing people to fuck right off. I bet that's just a correlating thing. The vast majority of non-players of the license who actually do have a TV are houses with small children in poverty, so lots of single mothers have the driver would be the income. I would say someone like the U.S. Bureau of Justice Statistics has the data, but I couldn't find it. That said, there's a Wikipedia article on sex differences in crimes. That many shed the light. Articles cite FBI states from 2011 arrests in suburban areas. The vast majority of arrests for most like crimes are men. Closest or equal embezzlement, 51% male. Larceny, theft, male. Fraud, 58% male. Numerous committers are guessing those of sorts of crimes aren't too far off the mark, and course arrest data isn't perfect indicator for those who actually commit a given crime, so there may even be right. I took a quick look at the FBI's 2019 stats, in which most recent I can find similar numbers. Women actually made up a slight majority of embezzlement arrests in 2019. There were also almost 2/3 of the arrests for prostitution and commercial vice, which wasn't mentioned in Wikipedia, otherwise top category numbers are fairly similar. Murdering their husband. The gay community needs to step up. There's some people on here. Prostitution. We're just talking the U.S. worldwide because West-North Europe over here is neither no crime nor the buyer gets punished only, which tips the scale back to the men. I don't like this thread. So I got to ask, how do you feel about trans athletes in sports?
Doesn't affect me.
Well, how do you feel about it? If you were an athlete.
If I was an athlete, I don't know. That's such a touchy subject whenever it comes to...
I think it's so openly discussed nowadays. Sure, you can get some hate saying you don't want it or you do want it. It doesn't really matter. It's one of those things that I think as a father to a little girl, that if she trained for years in a sport to go to the Olympics, only to be fought out by a man who had been played only so months in the sport or transferred only so many months ago and now is in the Olympics, I'd be pissed. I'd be absolutely pissed.
Rightfully so, yeah. I've heard the argument of where it should be like basically like those trans athletes in like sports, just trans against trans.
Why can't handicapped people compete against normal athletes? Because there's a handicap. That's the idea. And the handicap doesn't mean you are physically harmed or like at a disadvantage. It just means there is a number handicap to the statistics of your challenge. That's what handicap means. It's like you're playing with a lesser hand. You know what I mean? Like there's numbers to it where it's like in golf, you're playing with a handicap when you're not as good as somebody. They'll give you a handicap. You know, you're playing with a -4, +5, whatever the numbers are. And I think there should be a handicap to the people like that if they're going to play in those sports. If they're not handicapped, then just don't play. Like the wrestlers, for God forsakes. Or like, not the wrestlers, the karate, where it's point system.
Mm-hmm.
Give them 6 points, like, against.
Yeah.
If you're a striker like that and you can belt off 12 strikes in an instant compared to a woman who can't move as fast or as hard, I'd give them 6 points. You know, whatever the point difference is to make up for that handicap. But men doing that just to get like the power lifter one is the most despicable, deplorable fucking thing I've ever seen in sports.
Yeah, I was about to bring that up. I was like the
They were like 300th in the male league,
yeah,
400th, whatever. It's something.
and then they broke the female world record
on their first try.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Like, of course they could break. I mean,
It's a female world record.
yeah.
There has to be some rules and regulations to that.
They didn't transition until they were like already fully developed as a man, and like, yeah, they've been taking like estrogen and stuff, but still, like, they have full built muscles of a man.
It's crazy.
And yeah,
So, say a 10-year-old transitions pre-puberty, I understand. Not that I don't approve that. I don't approve children transitioning in whatever sense. That is on the parents' manipulation for clout, clicks, or because they can't deal like the chocolate syrup with my kid. Like if my son played as a girl from 3 to 12 and I was like, yeah, you can just be a girl. That's my fault. That's not my kid's fault. That's my fault. I didn't guide them in whatever sense to try and be who they are. It's more demanding, like they want to change because of what they've seen. You know what I mean? Environmentally.
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody did this transitioning thing. It wasn't as widely, it wasn't so widely adopted until very recently in the last 10, 15 years. And now it's become like even kids of 5 and 7 years old are doing it. That's fucking crazy. That's on the parent. Don't let your kid chop their shit up, cut it up, hormone them. You'll kill those kids' mental state forever. There's like 30, 40-year-olds that are like, we transitioned in the 90s and the 2000s and I regret it. That's a real thing too, where you finally accept who you are and you're like, all right, I'm not hanging out with all these fucking idiots that are backing up my bad decisions.
right.
I knew a person named Bellis. They worked for me. Trans man to female. Great person. Had some personality traits that I didn't like so much, but as a genuine person, always was nice and kind until their hormones ran out. And then it was a nightmare to be around them. Like, you need to go home. Don't come back until this is right. Do not come back. It was an eye-opener. That was the first trans person I had hired ever. And so it was months of just going back and forth about how they're meds and they can't get coverage and they're getting a bottom surgery, they're getting a top surgery, this, that, and the other. But the whole time they were talking about this like clique of people that they ran with. And they always, no matter what, these same like 5 people would tell them, you're beautiful as a woman, you need to be a woman, go girl, yas queen, this, that. Like, if you ever heard of just hanging out with people that like you for you, like what are your hobbies besides like freaking burning down buildings that say that they're anti-trans? Like what do you do? What do you like? But if you're not hanging out with those people and they're just like, oh, did you hear what DeSantis said? Did you hear what this said? And everyone's just so politically driven. Oh, they're changing laws in Montana that'll never affect me because I will never leave this town.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What'd you do on Tuesday? What'd you dream of doing? You want to take a road trip? Let's go look at the stars at night. Something. Fucking do something that's not so like...
And I mean, that comes into like a whole different thing of like where their beliefs in that just become like anybody's belief in something just becomes like their overwhelming personality.
Yeah.
And it's not until, maybe something happens that just like completely like shocks their world when then they like start to like look inwards and into themselves of like, well, who am I as a person? And then, if that's who they are as a person, 100% go for it.
Be you.
Yeah.
I never want to stop people from being themselves.
Yeah.
Not my point. I just don't think that people influencing you, whether it's friends or family from the age of 3 onward till you're 18, fully matured as a human being, I don't think somebody should be telling you to do something so drastic. Especially like this other person that I was talking to, I had employed called Alexa. Real name wasn't Alexa, legal name wasn't Alexa, but I spoke their dead name. That was very like screaming in my face about speaking their dead name, misgendering them. Because like if you come across as super aggressive and masculine, I'm gonna say, hey bud, whoops, big thing. I said, hand me shims to Bellis one day. I was putting in a door at a place, and apparently shim is a derogatory word against a she, him. Yeah. So I got lit up for that. One of the reasons I sent them home one time. But it's California, so I'm trying to be all-inclusive. There's a whole, like, try and hire other ethnicities and other people of any walk and creed so you can be inclusive. Mm-hmm. And at some point I was like, yeah, just fuck this. I'm not trying to do this affirmative action shit anymore. Because Alexa was the last one I hired, and it was a nightmare. It wasn't even about them being a transgender person. They made it about that. Any problem was like, it's because I'm transgender. Oh, you're looking at me this way because I'm transgender. You think I can't do it because I'm a woman. Well, I'm really a man and I can do it. But yeah, you think I'm a woman and that I can't do it. Okay, there's a problem here.
Right.
Like, and then the talk of their, like, troubles or, you know, how they got into it. And they would always talk about it like it was some, like, you go girl moment of, like, how they triumphed to get accepted the way they are. And I'm like, nobody brings it up. Nobody talks about it. Like, I don't talk about being a man as much as people talk about being in the know and being accepted by the people they're hanging with and, like, what they're doing politically. Mm-hmm. Like, so it's not, I don't care about being a man. If I was a man or a woman, I'd probably still do what I want to do in the way I want to do it and then be happy doing it. Except when it comes at the cost of others. Like, people trying to cheat the fucking Olympic system just kills me.
Right. Just be a kind, genuine person.
Yeah.
Just be yourself.
Fuck off. Go lift. If you love lifting weights so much, go print your own gold trophy and fucking lift in your backyard. Don't fuck it up for the rest of the people. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's
becoming worse and worse out there. So I figured I'd bring that up and say, I don't support the cutting of genitalia on children, ever. Ever. You should let it fly. Not even, nope, don't. Foreskin on.
That's why, like, when I went to Oregon and New York, I was like, because I'd always say, like, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, just, like, habitually, because that's how I
can't say that anymore, and I moved to Oklahoma where they say it, and now I'm scared of saying it.
Yeah, I mean, it's
I'm going to get swung on by a 6'4" dude who's like, what'd you say about my hairstyle? Bam.
I mean,
fuck these nails.
Because that's how I was, like, brought up.
Yeah.
And if I didn't say yes, ma'am, or yes, sir, I'd get my shit rocked. And when I went over to Oregon and New York, I was always like, I'd have to, like, catch myself to be like, yes, yes, yep, 100%. And I remember I was in the ER of a hospital in New York, and it, like, started to slip out, and I was like, yes, man, yep. And they were like, no, yeah, you got it right. And I'm like, okay, cool. Yes, ma'am. But, yeah, I mean, it's not like I mean it in any kind of, like, malicious intent. It's
Never.
just like a respectful kind of thing.
See, there's so many arguments on the Nesquik syrup versus powder.
God.
I didn't really think it was going to be a big thing, and then sure as shit. We'll see you next time on During Business Hours.
Life can be super happy, life can be super sad. I'm trying super hard to separate the good and bad. I go back to my future just to get to my past. But knowing me, my DeLorean will